Hello and welcome to Running Between the Wickets with me, Melinda Farrell, here in South Africa. It's been a wonderful trip here so far. I've come over to check out the Betway SA20, which has been a very successful tournament, it has to be said, since it started a couple of years ago. Now in its third edition and really trying to stake a claim as the best T20 tournament outside of the IPL. A lot of people think it's already achieved that. Certainly the calibre of players that are here internationally, the great scenes that come across on TV of the fan engagement, packed houses, lots of colour. Kind of feels like a big pool party that has a lot of cricket involved as well. So I'm here in Johannesburg at the moment. I started off in Cape Town, I've been to Paarl, I've been to Gqeberha. I've practiced so hard saying it, so I try and say it as often as I can, just because I want to, because I've practiced it so hard. I feel the need to say it as much as possible. I know I'm still not completely right in saying it, but I'm getting there and I've had a lot of good feedback about it. So it's been crazy busy. I'm here as a freelancer doing a lot of different interviews. Make sure you look out for those on this YouTube channel, or if you're listening on the podcast, you can head to my YouTube channel. There's already one up there with Trent Bolt, which I think was really, really lovely. Showed quite a bit of his cheeky personality, his love of cricket as well. And there'll be a lot more of those coming too, including one on Joe Root. I've also been just getting around the games, doing some post-match interviews with players as well for SA20. So that's been very exciting and fun, really. It is a great tournament and there's been a lot of wonderful cricket so far, a lot of new talent. I've been in Johannesburg for a week now, so it's almost a week. So it's been a little bit of a chance for me to catch up on a few things, a lot on my plate, and there's going to be a lot of content coming out very, very soon. So make sure you keep an eye out for all of that. I've become very used to the road between Johannesburg and Pretoria. I think I've driven down there 3 times so far, 3 or 4 times, and I've still got a couple of times to go. And one of those trips was to bring you today's podcast, or this episode. And it's a pretty exciting one too. I have found in the past interviewing AB de Villiers to be a really interesting experience, because he's just so easy to interview, frankly. Loves to talk, which makes things a lot easier, but just is very real in what he says. He's thoughtful and he does like to chat about all things cricket. Sometimes he says things that he doesn't mean to say, as you'll find out in this. He does admit that sometimes happens. But he's just a wonderful guy to talk to, a very generous man with a very big heart, and you'll find out a bit more about that as it goes on, as well as all of his thoughts about what's happening at the moment in not just the SA20, but in cricket worldwide, including the World Test Championship and South Africa making it to the final to take on Australia in June. So sit back, relax, make a cup of tea and have a listen to AB de Villiers.
Welcome to Pretoria Country Club. I'm a member here, this is my home club. This really is a peaceful piece of land in the middle of the city.
This
I mean,
is beautiful.
everything is crazy around here, but it's just boom, in the middle of everything.
I really
Love coming
appreciate
here.
it.
No, we love coming, and the food is so good.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Next time you'll come for lunch.
I'll come for lunch next time. I even drove myself and I went through 4 intersections with no traffic lights.
Oh yes.
I am so proud of myself because I can tell you I absolutely crap
You told
myself.
me that you panic in that situation. It's first come, first serve. It's easy as that.
Well, this time I actually had to make a right turn at one, and that really freaked me out. And so my technique is to get on the left side of another car, and then I just go and they go. But we were turning right, and I wasn't prepared. He suddenly just started going, and I was like, ah!
You gotta go.
I almost stalled the
Catch
car.
That's funny.
But thank you so much for coming down here. I know you're feeling a little bit under the weather.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to look great, but I'll perform for you still.
Look, we'll put up with you. No,
I hope I don't
appreciate it.
give to you whatever I have. Just like
Okay.
Trying to stay as far away as possible.
Distance?
I'll speak like this.
Just normals. At least we've got the mics. But look, it's been a while. We did chat a while back for a piece I wrote on you for
I remember
Wisdom.
that, yeah.
Yeah, which was...
That came out very nicely, thank you.
Oh, thank you. It only comes out nicely if...
I remember I was nervous about a couple of the answers I gave, but you managed it very well.
That's right, because I remember you actually paid me a compliment without realising it, because your manager got in touch with me after that interview and said, AB's just a bit worried that he said more than he meant to.
Yeah. I'm too honest.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
First of all, right, the reason that I'm certainly over here at the moment is the SA20, third year now. You're an ambassador for it. I've got to say, I came over, there's a lot of hype and everyone talking about how great it is. I genuinely, honestly have been so impressed by what I've seen. What's your take on it? Has it made a difference, say, here in Pretoria, where you're from, team just down the road?
Definitely. I mean, it is our South African tournament, the SA20, so obviously I'm going to be a bit biased and say it's the second best tournament in the world and all of that, but that's not what it's about. To me, the difference I've picked up is literally in the streets, and I've heard some commentators actually mention that, so I hope they mean it when they say that, because I've literally been experiencing that, and I think that's where it impacted me the most. It's closest to home. The people that have followed my career and now are trying to sort of, you know what it's like when you really love following someone. Like I'm talking about my parents and my closest friends, and then they retire and you go like, I'm not going to watch the sport anymore. And somehow this tournament's got them incredibly excited again. And that's where I knew, okay, they're on the right track with this tournament. Not so much numbers and stats. I don't care about those kind of things. I want to see it on the streets, and I can see the children, my kids. I mean, I'm going through a very hard time to keep them away from the cricket field at the moment. And 2 years back, they weren't interested in cricket. So, and that had nothing to do with my retirement. It was just the bug bit them now with this tournament, and they've got their Pretoria Capitals kit, and they want to go to every single game. So, closest friends and family, they love it, and that to me is a measurement of success. Yeah,
well, certainly the thing that has struck me the most, and we were just talking about it before, but the fan engagement, the particular fan engagement, just the little extra mile that they go to at the games where they bring fans onto the field, and I saw this in Durban, they sort of brought in a little fence, and then everyone came in, and then so the players and the fans were able to interact safely, but in a really I don't know, genuine way, and I was like, oh, that's something I haven't seen before.
That is the difference, and that's what Graham brought to the party, and I don't know who else is on board there with him. I always mention his name because I know he's the what do you call him, the counsellor of the tournament or whatever.
The head honcho. Let's call him head honcho.
The boss. I'm very proud of him. I'm not surprised because he always had incredible leadership qualities. But just the vision of getting India involved and the ownership thereof, and getting some of the Indian players involved now, that's so big. We know India is a huge cricketing nation, and we have very good ties with them. We have a fantastic friendship that's come many, many years, and I love traveling there, and now that they are starting to enjoy coming over here and helping our tournament grow is really cool. I think very difficult to compare to the IPL, but in the early stages they also had their obstacles and didn't grow as quickly as they wanted to. There were doubts of them not making it after 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden the boom happened, and hopefully it'll be the same kind of trajectory for this tournament. I wanted to say one other thing about how I know this tournament's doing well. I found myself wanting to go to the game as a fan the other day, actually yesterday. So I went to Centurion, I put on a beard, I had different hair, I had glasses on, and I sat on the grass embankments without anyone knowing, with my children, and I had the best day ever.
Oh my God! Please tell me you have a picture.
I have lots of footage for you. I'll share it.
Oh my God, that is absolutely brilliant.
One guy recognized me somehow. I think he heard my voice. And I saw him looking over the whole time, and then he took a picture, and I walked to him, I said, I see that, just keep it for yourself, please. He said, AB, I knew it from this, I could see it in your walk. I'm like, goodness, how much cricket did you watch me play over the years?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
It was a good disguise.
Oh,
I think I did a good job.
That is incredible. I love it.
It was so
story.
much fun. I enjoyed it, and I know exactly what you talk about with the fan engagement and the activations. I was like sort of quietly nervous about that one-handed catch. It never came my direction, but I thought I'm going to go for it if it comes my way.
I was about to say, what if that ball had come your way? You would have given it
gone for
away.
But my mates were next to me, so I mean, I couldn't win it. I can't win the prize money, so I would have. If it wasn't a realistic chance for them, I would have taken it. Otherwise, I would have gone like, okay, get in position, and out, soft hands now. We had a lot of fun. It was great.
That blows my mind.
I even had a couple of beers because I felt like a different character. I felt like I was playing in a Hollywood movie.
That is so good. I'd absolutely love that. All right, so keep bearded, sunglasses. You never know.
So good.
You never know who might be there if you're at a Pretoria Capitals game. What about on the field? Like, there been some particular standout things this season? And please say Lhuan-dre Pretorius.
Oh, absolutely. Goodness, I had to just get a hold of his number. I called David Miller up and I said, just send me that boy's number. I just want to tell him he's amazing. So I did send him a voice note and he called me uncle. Which is fair enough. He just got his matric results. I mean, he's so young. At the age of 18, I mean, I started at the age of 20 internationally, and I wasn't ready. I was nowhere near ready. I somehow survived, but I felt so out of sorts. Felt at home. It didn't feel like the bowling was too hard to face, but just the maturity of a kid of 18 years old and what he's showing out there, and he looks calm and composed. I can't believe it. I was like a little Jack Russell around there, didn't know what the hell was going on. I literally felt like I was on a different planet, and this guy looks like he's here, you know, and he's played for 10 years.
Yeah.
The youth of today is like extraordinary, and Lhuan-dre Pretorius is right on top of that list, alongside some others as well. Brevis, he's been coming for a few years now, so we've known about him. And I feel there's a breakthrough season coming really soon for him. He's gone through that little tough phase, and that will happen for Pretorius as well at some stage. And there's so many others. I mean, that excites me. It's great to see.
It is. And talking about Brevis, I was there the other night when he took that catch.
Oh, yes.
And he took almost an identical one in the other domestic of Simon Harmer at Potch. It shows that it's no freak, right? He's a freak, like you're freaks, but it's no freak that happens. And I've also enjoyed seeing, so for me coming over here, seeing the South African domestic players, because I do feel that a domestic tournament, you have all the high caliber international players come in, but the bread and butter, the base of a tournament and a team's fortune often rests on, you know, the local players. And you've got those younger ones coming through. Quenna Mapaka as well. I saw Steve Stoke, all three, Pretorius as well, were in that under-19s team that played at the under-19s World Cup here last year. But then there's also a bunch of players I've noticed in their early 30s who are actually being really interesting to watch. So is the whole thing just giving this great platform of depth for South Africa, because we've seen the national side really tested because of injuries when it comes to depth?
Yes, you are absolutely spot on. The national side is fairly inexperienced in that regard, and somehow made it to the T20 World Cup final, somehow made it to the finals of the WTC coming up in, I think it was in June at Lords. Incredibly exciting that they could achieve that, even though I looked at the squad and feel like there's a lack of leadership in a way, lack of experience. New coaches, new way of playing, lots of criticism, lots of people not sort of supporting them anymore. I don't know, that happens when you go through a bit of a tough patch. You know, it happened with us in 2005, 6, 7, leading up to 5 of the best years we've had. But I remember that 2005, 6, 7, people in the streets talking about the Proteas again, we're not going to watch them play. And then 2 years later, we were the talk of the town. So it is just a phase you've got to go through as a national side, and that's the players they're in now, but they need the depth, and the SA20 helps a lot with that, with identifying super talented guys, and that's what you want, and those are the kind of guys you need to nurture. I'm not saying I'm putting myself in the bracket as a super talented guy, but what I wanted to say is I'm one of those that was looked after. I was picked or pinpointed by Graham Smith and whoever made the decisions at the top at that time, Ray Jennings, the selectors. I don't know who saw me, but they decided they're going to look after me. I don't think I always played in a way that sort of I probably should have been dropped a couple of times. But I was never dropped. I was looked after. So I think this tournament gives the selectors and the coaches, the captains, that opportunity to handpick a Lhuan-dre Pretorius or a Brevis, whoever you want, and go like, you know what, we're going to give this guy an extended run. Even if he doesn't play, we want him to travel with us, be in the squad, be in the nets, learn the culture. And that's so powerful 3-4 years down the line when that guy's mature and he's picked up a bit of experience on the park, and then he starts winning your games and he doesn't stop. So I think this tournament gives you that platform. They play against the best players in the world. You get to face Rashid Khan, so many other incredible players. You get to play alongside Kagiso Rabada, under his wing. Then there's a Joe Root, I mean, one of the greatest players of all time. Playing with Lhuan-dre Pretorius, opening the batting with him. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
One of the things I thought was fantastic after that opening innings from Pretorius was that he said that batting with Joe Root had calmed him down, and the way that Root obviously realised that he was on one, and so he just kept sort of turning it over. It was kind of a really good foil for him because he's so mature. But to hear Lhuan-dre Pretorius say that kind of warms your heart.
People underestimate the power of that. Even though at the back end of my career, I felt that with Hashim Amla. When I walked out there and I saw his face, I just went like, everything is going to be okay. No need to worry. I can just watch the ball and play. This guy's got it under control. And that's honestly the effect he had on me. And luckily I had him there for almost my entire career. But that's the kind of things that you take confidence from. And that's the power of the great players that we have in this SA20. You've got so much to learn. I'm not saying all of them are angels. There are some of them that are a little bit older and grumpy and not in the mood to share everything they learned with youngsters. But there are great guys around that have an open door and that want to be there for the guys and watch them grow.
Yeah, Joe Root's possibly the most generous, caring cricketer I reckon I've seen around the traps in recent times. So
sure.
He's certainly one of those. I mean, you mentioned the World Test Championship. I did want to ask you about that because South Africa qualified, and then I couldn't help observe a lot of comments from around the world. I was in Australia. I saw a lot in Australia. Obviously, there were Michael Vaughan's comments about South Africa getting there by beating nobodies, but all of that stuff. Look, they had an easy run, all this kind of stuff. Did that grind your gears? Because it ground my gears, and I'm not even South African. I can't imagine how it went down here.
I think what upsets me is that they're sour, and that's not nice. It's never nice to be sour and jealous. But do I agree? To a certain extent, I do. The scheduling and the games that I played I feel needs to happen over a longer period of time, perhaps a 4-year period, where you get to play everyone, away and at home, perhaps. I know it's not easy, and I wouldn't want to be in the shoes of whoever makes those decisions. But as Test cricket, you want it to be incredibly special. You want to know South Africa played everyone, Australia, England, India, here away from home, whatever the case may be, and for the other teams as well. So did we play all the best? No, we didn't. Is it our fault? No. We talk about the big three playing more games against each other. So if that's going to be the case, then these things might just happen more often. And it's not South Africa's fault, but they still deserve to be there. They won 10 out of 11 Test matches. I don't care where you do that. And some of it was away from home. Bangladesh is not easy. To go there and have a clean sheet is incredible, and then to come here under pressure at home, knowing the WTC is on the line, to still pull out the goods was an incredible performance and a great achievement. But I still, away from the Proteas, I want the ICC, whoever makes the decisions, just to get it right. And same as the ODI World Cup, it's every 4 years. So take the 4 or 5 years, how much ever you need, and how much time ever you need to get it accurate, you know. And whatever that system might look like, I don't know, but I would like for that to happen.
Yeah. By the way, Australia they wouldn't know what it's like to go and win in Bangladesh because they never go there. So you can't really look down your nose.
It's tricky.
They've been there twice in history. That's it. So you know, what can you say about that? You can't assume that you're going to beat a team that you don't play.
Exactly.
That's just not how sport works.
No.
So I mean, they are going there now. Look, I hate bringing this up because I think it's something that is kind of overblown. But you know the chirp word that comes around when South Africa are playing in knockout games.
Yeah.
And I think it's overblown because I think often people apply it when it's you can lose it. You can lose a game, right?
Of course,
because another team is better.
Yeah.
But you know that's going to come around and people are going to bring up that narrative again. But Test cricket is so different to the white ball formats in that there's so much more time for there to be an up and down narrative throughout a 5-day test if it goes for 5 days. Do you think that sort of makes it almost a different enough final that all that kind of talk is irrelevant anyway?
Well, we don't go as favourites. I mean, Australia's by country mile the favourites. They're incredibly experienced, well-oiled machine. There's not a lot of weaknesses there. The batters were out of form not long ago. Now they all seem to be in form. So, and the bowling attack, you don't have to say much about them. It's just class everywhere. And playing at Lords, it'll be a handful for our batters. If Hazelwood's fit, we don't have to look past him. That is a handful and a wicket that moves around a bit. The choking word is the most interesting dynamic. It happens in sport when you get yourself in a position where you should win the game, but you don't. And I don't care who you are, every single sportsman's gone through that in their lives. Roger Federer, he should have won a few games and he lost. Is he a choker? No. The fact that we haven't won a World Cup or a big ICC event is maybe we rightfully deserve that word or that name in a way. So until we break that door down, we'll just have to sort of carry that along. But it is weird that as a sportsman you have to carry that tag. It's the weirdest thing. I don't think the guys do, honestly. The Proteas side, current Proteas side, have absolutely no reason. There's no scoring there of any of those players. And I don't think they deserve that tag. They go there not as the favourites. Will they get in a winning position? Maybe. Will they go on to win? I don't know. But same for Australia. I mean, if they're leading on day one but they end up losing the test match, is that a choke? No, it's sport. It's the beautiful dynamic of sport, and that's what makes sport sport. There's ups and downs, there's turns and tides, and all things happen. Sometimes they're in the winning position, sometimes you are, and you don't always get through it. And that's where experience is created as well, through those moments, and you understand that's where I probably should have done it differently. What I could learn from that mistake.
What are your thoughts on how well Shukri Conrad's obviously been able to have a terrific record first up, as has Temba Bavuma, who, when you look on it, it has felt like South African captains have a very unique set of challenges, I think, in leading a side. But for him too, it's felt like he's always having to prove himself to someone. And then to see the form he's been in and the way he's led the team, do you think people are actually just not expecting him to do something that no one else has had to do?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that play a role here. Obviously our past and the racial conflicts we had over the years. The other thing is you can't judge a book by its cover. He doesn't look like this mean machine captain that's going to take over the world. And he's proven everyone wrong, and I absolutely love that about him. There's a lot of fight in that guy. He's quiet. He's the opposite to what you would think a captain should be like on a cricket park. But then that brings a whole other set of skills that not a lot of people know about. That calmness and composure, the lack of words. You almost got to think like, I don't know, is he watching me? Is he not? He's not saying, is he happy with me? Is he not? And that's power. I feel that's the less you speak, the more power you keep, in a way. And that's Temba for you. He makes great decisions on the field. He does his homework. He's got great coaches around him, guys who have really walked the long mile in South African cricket. Shukri Conrad has been in the system for ages, and Rob Walter and the white ball side of stuff he started as my fitness coach way back when I was like 16 years old. He was at the Titans, and then just developed. I mean, you also played cricket back in the day, played club cricket for old boys here in Pretoria, so he's got a cricket background, and then he just developed it, and you could always see that passion. So the coaches that are there, I think Temba's lucky to have them around. They are guys who know the game inside out, so the preparation is always spot on with him, and I'm just happy for Thames. You know, he took a lot of criticism. Of course, he doesn't look like the perfect captain, and it really irritated the hell out of me in the first 6 to 12 months, watching him go through that pain, listening to my friends saying, is there not someone better? What about this guy, that guy? And I'm like, guys, just relax. Just give him a bit of time. He doesn't look like your perfect captain, but you'll see. And I mean, he's proven everyone wrong that's given him criticism. And he's the right guy for the job, and he's proven that, and I'm happy for him.
Boy, and if South Africa do end up having success at Lords, I do think that'll end any argument that may still exist, if it still exists, you would imagine as well. That would be huge.
I wouldn't want them to look at it like that. It's like this, yes, it's a final and it's the WTC and it's a big deal. But I would really encourage them to sort of stay in that bubble that they've created, and it's another test match. And it can go either way. Sort of embrace that in a way, you know. It's sport, it's going to be tricky. We don't play often at Lords, it's Australia. But sort of just remember why we've been playing good cricket, what's our strengths, where's our weaknesses, and just tackle that one second at a time, one session at a time, 1 hour, whatever you want to say, with regards to just staying in the moment. And that'll be my message to them. Don't blow it up. It will be blown up by everyone else. Let them do that. But for them just to sort of stick to that bubble and just keep believing in that culture that they have.
It's interesting to me that with the SA20 started and there was that cancelled tour against Australia, and then last like a year ago it was the team that went to New Zealand. I find it quite interesting that those all happened for financial reasons, and the global climate that cricket finds itself in outside of the big three. So, but yet South Africa qualified for the T20 World Cup final, qualified for the World Test Championship final. Even the women's team have made the last two finals as well. So it seems coming here, I was at Newlands for one of the days of the Pakistan Test, and it was a sellout. And it was like, wow, this is really interesting, because everyone was kind of saying South Africa doesn't care about Test cricket, and they've sold their soul, and international cricket is all about this big money tournament. But actually, it does feel like South African cricket might be in a better spot than it's been for years. Is it just happy circumstance, or is there some link there? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question, and you can go very deep with that. I honestly think it's just our nature and the fight and the resilience that we have as a nation that's sort of instilled in us. I do feel there are holes and weaknesses, and as I spoke to you about 2005, 6, 7 for us as a team, I honestly think that's the kind of situation they're in at the moment, but they've done incredibly well with what they have. There's some standout individuals in the team, and I think they need to build on that depth that we spoke about earlier. So that's an area of focus, in my opinion, to really nurture some young guys, get them ready for 2-3 years, sort of look a little bit ahead, But the results, that's pure determination and resilience. It's incredible, and we shouldn't look past that, because I remember throughout my playing days being favourites in tournaments and then not even qualifying for knockout stages. And it was sort of, okay, it's fine, we'll take the next one. These guys have made it to the World Cup final. That is unbelievable with what they have and the amount of cricket we've played, and same with the women. So I don't think we celebrate that enough, but I do feel there's a hype building up with regards to cricket in our country. It's slowly but surely gaining a bit of momentum, and if these guys get experienced a year or two from now, the team will do good and the depth will be there, and thanks to the SA20 as well, I think we are exploring different avenues and seeing different talent that we probably wouldn't have seen if it wasn't for this kind of tournament. So I think we're in a good position. It's just going to take a bit of time, and the public needs to be patient for results. And I did tweet about something along those lines, I think 2 nights ago. I just said, because I was watching Lhuan-dre Pretorius play, and then I think there was another game, Delano Potgieter, a few other guys, and I was literally going, and I felt an excitement in me, and I decided, I'm just going to tweet that. I'm just going to say, SA20, thank you. We'll see the product in a few years' time. Just be patient, it's coming, Not that the team is not good now, I think we're great, but I feel something big's coming, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, well, that's what you want, isn't it? You want the team to be great now. You also want people fighting, young people coming in and fighting for those positions.
Sure.
Yeah, and South Africa's batting at the moment. I mean, they've scored a lot of centuries this year. People can talk about the opposition or being at home or whatever it is, but it feels like South Africa's batting has actually been on a steady rise throughout this year. Do you see that way?
It's a similar kind of top 5, 6 that we've had for a couple of years now. So It's largely due to that. I feel the guys starting to feel at home. They've been thrown into the deep end, and now they start going. And we're still here. We've survived. Now we can start focusing on actually pulling our weight and having an impact on as an individual in the team. And that's a good position to be in. When you chop and change and you constantly look for the perfect 11, no one goes anywhere, and the team doesn't really move forward. And now we've had this similar kind of setup for a while now, and the guys know what's expected of them. They're starting to feel comfortable within their roles, and that's when teams start performing. So it's not easy to score runs in South Africa, and there's been a lot of hundreds from the SA boys in the test setup especially. It's a great effort against the Pakistan bowling attack. It's one of the best bowling attacks in the world. They know what they're doing with the ball. They move it around. Everyone that goes and plays in the PSL come back and say, those bowlers, wow. So to score hundreds against those guys is a fantastic achievement, and it shows that the guys have come a long way as a batting unit.
Yeah. With still on then the Test Cricket World Test Championship, the news emerged. Shout out to Dan Brettig for breaking this in Australia, but that the three chairs, Richard Thompson, Mike Baird, were meeting with Jay Shah, and that the idea of a two-tier, breaking Test cricket into two tiers.
Great idea.
Do you think so?
Great idea. I feel so. Yeah. And a relegation system. I mean, imagine the pressure to be relegated to the second tier, and the amount of competition, but they have to just get it fair.
So that's the difference. So Mike Atherton actually put it really well, and the difference between, is it two divisions or two tiers? Because if it's two divisions with genuine promotion and relegation, that's one thing. But is that ever going to happen? Because if England or Australia or India drop into the second tier, well, you have no Ashes, which is fair. That's what should happen, right? That's what should happen.
There's a lot on stake. I mean,
yeah.
It's a lot to play for.
But if it's two tiers and there's no promotion or relegation, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, I would promote relegation and promotion. I just feel similar to the Premier League football. You find Man United in a position this season where they might be relegated. I mean, imagine that. That's massive. And they'll just have to take it on the chin, fight their way back up again. So I like that. I like the humility thereof. And no matter who you are, India, England, South Africa, what you've achieved in the past, if you don't play good cricket over a 3-4 year period, you get relegated and you have to fight your way back in there again.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to work. Once again, I'm very happy I'm not part of those conversations and decision making, but I see the power of that and what it could mean for cricket around the world.
Yeah.
And that would be great.
As long as it's equitable and there's promotion and relegation, that's
and it needs to be fair. You need to look back after the 4 years and feel like I've earned my right to be promoted, or no problem, we deserve to be relegated. We'll come back stronger and find a way to get back in there again. And I think it can work with all the T20 tournaments around the world that's run like businesses. The funding should be okay. You should survive if you get relegated as a test team, because you have the SA20, you have the Big Bash still. If the system's so healthy and it's run well, I think it should be fine and it should be okay. If it's not run well, then obviously those boards will not make it if you get relegated.
No, and well, if it's two tiers with no way of coming up, I think it's almost going to be a soft launch to killing off Test cricket for some countries, right?
What for then?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. There's no point. 2024 was actually, in many ways, a stellar year for Test cricket, because you had everyone beating everyone. It was quite amazing. You know, so South Africa, people talk about South Africa qualifying. They beat West Indies in the Caribbean. Australia only drew against them in Australia. You had that amazing victory by New Zealand in India, and then they got beaten at home by England, who just got beaten by Pakistan. So do you think Test, is that just a one-off, a fluke, or do you think there really is a growing competitiveness in that phase of whatever cycle Test cricket?
I think so. I think it's growing, and I think it's the way that cricket is played these days. There are more results, it's positive, it's looking to attack, and that's probably why you see the inconsistency of the results, which is great. It's not nice to see one team dominating for 10 years.
Like you did.
Like Australia in the 90s, that was tough to watch. But it was great in a way as well. I mean, I looked up to some of the Aussie players over the years, and that's maybe also part of the fact why it was so tough for me to start there, because I was playing against these guys that I I felt like they were like UFOs, you know. You can't even look at them. I'm scared of them. It was intimidating, to say the least. But anyway, back to the point. I feel it's fantastic, and cricket is in a great space at the moment. The players are pulling their weight, and I don't know if everyone else is pulling their weight.
Yeah, well, that's
but the cricket, the quality of cricket is certainly where it should be.
I also just wanted to ask about yourself, because now you've got your own YouTube. We should really mention that the great people at 42, Aria and the team, and Kay, hello, they produce your YouTube channel.
Yes.
They are also responsible for all of my stuff. So
Yep.
how much do you enjoy flipping sides and you know, having your own kind of media now?
I'm glad you asked that, because I can write a book about it, about the retirement and the few years following. Was confusing. I mean, it's difficult. I've done cricket my entire life. It's all I've been doing. Yes, it was different when I was really young, 4 or 5 years old, but I played cricket. It wasn't that serious. And then when I left school, that's all I did. So, like any job or profession, it's difficult to leave something you've been doing your whole life, you know, or for 20 years professionally. And I knew it was going to be tough, and I didn't know what to do after retirement, but I knew there was a part of me that still needed to be involved with cricket and still needed to communicate with the people that changed my life, and that's my fans. I couldn't just go and switch off and go, boom, that's it, done, I'm out of here. It's not a responsibility. Maybe it felt like that at the start, and then I realized, you know what, this is actually enjoyable. But it took a while. It took a good 12 months where I doubted this YouTube channel thing, and like, am I an influencer? Where do I fit in here? What am I doing? And then I do this show with Arya and Team 42 in India. They're fantastic people, by the way, and I've been very blessed. If it wasn't for them, I probably would have given up after 6 months. But after every episode, I would ask my team, like, guys, is this what we're offering? Is this it? Is this where? And then after a while, I found myself starting to enjoy it, you know, and I started hearing from friends once again. That's always, in a way, maybe the deciding factor, where they start going like, hey, I watched your show this morning, pretty cool. I'm like, wow, okay, you're just the guy that lives around the corner. I've known you for 20 years and you're starting to enjoy my show. And then the feedback started coming through that we are getting somewhere with that. And it's not about the amount of followers or if you're making money out of it. It was never going to work if I wasn't going to enjoy it. And I would have drawn the line, which I almost did a few times. And became a habit, became a routine, a couple of times a week, a live show in the weekends, show in the week. And then I started doing it. I went right through the year this time around, Christmas, New Year's, and it didn't hassle me. I had to drive up to a hotel to go and find Wi-Fi away from my family. And I came back with this energy, and my wife would ask me, like, are you okay? Like, no, I'm just excited. The day started, you know, I've done my show, and so it brings out, in a way, the best in me, and I still have so much time for everything else. I can still travel to India. I might still play cricket one day.
Hang on.
No confirmation whatsoever.
Oh, you can't give
but
us
I'm starting to feel like, you know, my kids are putting me under a bit of pressure, and I feel like I could go to the nets with them, you know. My boy can feed me bowling machine balls, and if I enjoy it, maybe I'll walk out and go and play a little bit of casual cricket somewhere again and get a bit of footage.
Hang on, is this going to be a thing where you're going to actually wear a beard and glasses
maybe,
and just anonymously go out and play?
My YouTube team is giving me that idea of, because I sent them a picture of this whole disguise, and they said we should do that in the street somewhere in India or wherever, play with kids, and then after a while reveal myself and say.
I love that.
But no, I'm talking on a more serious note of actually playing some real cricket somewhere, not professional IPL stuff or SA. Who knows? But we'll see. I'm gonna try it again and see if this eye is still working. It's a bit blurry, but this is the dominant one, and it's working fine. So I'm doing it for my kids and see if I can go out there and enjoy cricket again, even if it's very casual. And then we'll see where we draw the line with that.
Surely there's inspiration from watching Imran Tahir.
Oh, for sure. I'll maybe ask him to be in my team wherever I go.
Okay, so just remember this.
He's one of my
AB de
favourite
Villiers
players.
hints at comeback.
Oh, maybe. Nothing serious though.
Nothing serious.
We're not talking RCB and
In a
big
disguise.
stuff here. I don't want to feel that pressure again.
No,
That's
no.
the thing. So wherever I go, I'll go have a bit of fun. You know, I want to do it with my kids, and I want to feel like I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's ultimately why you would walk away from something you've done your whole life. It's like, I want to be with my family. I don't want to be here anymore, you know. So now I can take them with, and we can go and have a bit of fun together. I want my kids to watch. I want them to bowl and play, and whatever the case may be. The sky's the limit, and I feel like, you know, it's always been part of me. So it's no use turning your back on that.
Yeah, I actually felt bad. You mentioned the eye, and I felt bad about that because you did tell me about that when we did that interview for Wisden Cricket Monthly, and it actually blew up, and you had to do a video just clarifying and making
I'm not
sure
coming back.
make sure everyone was on.
But that's the thing. The idea of people is IPL and, you know, big stuff, World Cups. I'm not there. I don't want to experience that again. I've had my fair share. I've had my heartbreaks and my ups, and, you know, I've had everything there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's done. But a bit of fun here and there, why not?
I'm so looking forward to that. You mentioned India, and just sort of to wrap up, I did also want to ask you about the charity work, the foundation work that you do in India, because we chatted about that before, and I kind of just wanted to see what was happening with it. Tell us, for people who don't know, tell us what you do in India.
Now we're talking about the real stuff.
Yes.
and the purpose, and that's mainly been my focus since retirement. Well, before retirement as well, but I told my manager the minute I retire, that's all I want to do. Is I want to have an impact, and I don't want to feel like I've wasted my time here on earth when I get there eventually. When the real flame burns out, I want to feel like I've had fun and I've made a difference. Not just me, man. It's not. I say I. It's got nothing to do with I or me. I just want to use whatever I have, whatever resources I have, to see the world grow, to see people be better off, to see nature be prettier in a way, whether that's by planting grass or growing trees, whatever the case may be. Growing grass, planting trees. I had it the other way around. Anyway, you know what I mean.
I do.
It's such cliche stuff to say, but I'm working endlessly on that, and there's a Make a Difference organization in India that I spend a lot of time on. I encourage volunteers to get involved, because that's ultimately what it is to have that mindset of just giving and not much coming back. But you'll see the rewards in what you do, in making something better. And I also mentor a couple of kids. I've sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? I've been through a couple. I've helped them grow, and now there's a couple new ones coming on board. That's frequent calls on Zoom, also meeting them when I'm in India. Lots of projects they do. It's an incredible organization. And not only that, I'm also involved with getting the plastic off the streets and the ocean and the beaches of Mumbai, for starters. It's called Project Mumbai. And the idea is to actually make plastic bats out of that and hand them out in the parks of India. So we're trying to complete that entire cycle, also create jobs through that. But I've got my hands dirty with that, and it's a lot of fun. With my hands, gloves on, bag in the hand, and pick up plastic on the beaches, and then we recycle that, and the idea is to turn that into little 360 plastic bats that we'll give away. So that's the other project. And at home, I have an educational thing here in South Africa that is very personal and private, so I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's close to home. But yeah, I raise a lot of funds through an app called Cameo, where I do personal video messages, and all that money goes to school fees and boarding school fees of children that I come across, and try and help giving the best education and get them into the schools or the quality schools that I was at in high school. So that's what I do at home. So there's 3 different angles with that, and the sky's the limit. I want to do a lot more.
I got to say, every time I talk to you, I feel myself getting all energized. You've got such a big heart, and have so many interesting thoughts as well. And I just really appreciate you coming here when you've not been feeling so well this morning either. I'm
a little bit under the weather, but I'll be fine. Whatever the case, whatever's happening in there, it'll leave eventually.
That's what I think. But that's typical of you, that you would still come along and have a chat. So I look forward to seeing you around the traps during the rest of this tournament, and maybe see you as well over in England in June. Hey.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going. I've already asked Ed to help me with tickets, so I'll be there. But thank you for the kind words, and it's always nice to talk to you. You somehow bring the best out of me, I must say. There's not a lot of journos and people who do interviews that get someone to talk from the heart, you know. Sometimes I think as people, you always have your defences up in a way, and you try and check things out. But the fences are off with you. But don't take advantage of that.
Evil laugh. No, I really appreciate those kinds words as well. And
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Until next time.
Yes, let's do it again. Well, I hope you enjoyed that chat as much as I did. It was honestly a great way to go and spend an hour in a beautiful place as well. He's really interesting to listen to, AB de Villiers. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to be picking up some more podcast interviews as well. Normally at this stage in the show, I do take questions from people, but I've just been so busy, I haven't been able to ask for those questions. So if you're watching this, please do drop me a question, whether it's about the world of cricket, or if it's something to do with this tournament here in South Africa, the SA20, because I've got a lot of things on my mind about what I've seen, really, the talent, the way the tournament has been run. So if you've got any thoughts about that, please do drop them in the comments. Send me a tweet, send me a message or a comment on Instagram, whatever it is. There are loads of ways to get in contact with me. And I'd really love to keep this conversation going. Keep an eye out as well, because I've got a bit of an announcement that is coming out soon. And it's something that all of you who watch this and who know a bit about my journey as a freelancer, you might be a little bit interested in that. So make sure that if you're not already subscribing to the podcast or to my YouTube channel, please do give us a like, a follow, share it amongst your friends. And I will be back very shortly with another episode of Running Between the Wickets. There are so many great people to talk to while I'm here in South Africa, and I'm hoping to grab as many of them as I possibly can. So wherever you are, whatever you are watching, make sure that you enjoy your cricket. I'll see you soon.